Okay, great. I think we'll just get started. Just for the sake of the content we've got prepared, we've got lots of good stuff to talk through. I don't want to waste anyone's time. I want to make sure we cover everything as well. So firstly, welcome everyone to our webinar. This is the Salary Sacrifice Made Simple Lunch and Learn webinar. Essentially, we're going to be talking about the low to no admin side of implementing a salary sacrifice scheme within your organization, and super excited to get started. So what will we cover today? We'll give you a brief background of the electric car scheme. For those who are new to the concept of salary sacrifice, we'll explain what it is and how it works. We'll do a small little pitch for the electric car scheme so you can understand what we do, how we play our part in the salary sacrifice market, and the products and services we have. And then we'll focus on the core aspect of this webinar, which is the kind of cost and admin part of the scheme itself. So, how much effort is it to get set up, the ongoing administration, year-end reporting, all that sort of stuff. We'll also speak about how we support our customers, again, through ordering cars, through to implementing the scheme, et cetera, et cetera. So lots of information to come. Another important bit that we'd like to highlight is the upcoming HMRC changes to payrolling benefits. So for those who don't know, normally that's done at the end of each financial year. That's now changed slightly. So I won't give away too much. One of my colleagues will go into detail on that one as well. So yeah, I just want to do a quick intro, a quick hello to everyone who's helping run this webinar today. So I'm Gaurav, I'm the marketing director at the Electric Car Scheme. Been with the business since 2022, so nearly 3.5 years, heading up the marketing team, essentially trying to establish us as one of the main players in the salary sacrifice market. So really excited to be here. Over to you, Cameron.
Thank you, Gaurav. So hi everyone, I'm Cameron. I've been with the Electric Car Scheme just over 3 years, following a background in consulting and analytics. I'm mainly responsible for our business development team, particularly around enterprise and corporate client acquisition. So really excited to talk to you all about who we are and how we make it incredibly simple to put this scheme in place. Over to Zabrina.
Great. Hi, I'm Zabrina. I'm the Senior Customer Operations Specialist here. And my role is just to make sure that all the documentation and administration post-delivery, so once the car's been delivered, get sent to you guys regularly and on time. And my history really has been working in startups in the operations side of things. So yeah, that's me.
Great. Just before we get started into all the content here, just a few housekeeping bits. If you can keep yourselves on mute, and if you can turn off your videos, we will be recording the session, sharing that around with people. And also, if you have any questions, we do have a chat box in the bottom right, so feel free to drop in any questions as we go through the content, whether that's about the scheme itself, the admin side, or anything else we talk about. Super happy to help. Any questions we can't get to, we will answer those after the webinar on email, or you can follow up with Cameron's team as well. So yeah, before we get into the nuts and bolts of it all, I just want to give a quick overview on what salary sacrifice is for electric cars. And at the core, salary sacrifice enables employees to save 20 to 50% on the cost of an electric car. So the employer normally leases the car, and it's a business contract hire. And then instead of paying for the car, the employee pays for the car sorry, let me do that clearly, because I'm mumbling a bit. Instead of paying for the car from their take-home pay, the employee gives up a portion of their gross salary, therefore saving on tax and national insurance. And in return, they get the car they want, whether that's a used or new car. They're able to bundle in insurance, maintenance, all into one package. Because it's taken from gross salary, as I said, in theory, employees pay less income tax and less national insurance, so making it way more affordable to drive electric. So I will let Cameron explain that again, because I mumbled it a bit. But over to you, Cam, to go through your part. Cheers.
Not at all, not at all. So I guess the theory behind salary sacrifice is to help employees save on their income tax and national insurance. And we're here to help employees make electric car adoption the obvious choice. So this slide really is talking about why choose the electric car scheme and how far we've come and how we've designed our products. So I want to point you first to the 3 points on the left-hand side of the screen. So we split this into what's important for employers, but also what's important for employees to have really good engagement. For employers, the 3 things we found that were most important when talking to our customers: firstly, there can't be any cost through implementing this benefit. So it must be free to put in place. There can't be high administration cost. It can't be a timely exercise to put this scheme in place. So the electric car scheme never has any costs associated with implementation or ongoing costs by having this scheme in place. In fact, it will only ever be cost neutral or net positive for the business. If you want to, you can retain upside, and we'll talk about that in a little more detail later. The second point is arguably a little bit more important, and it's around making sure that there's no risk, there's no liability, there are no financial exposures to the organization. We launched a couple of years ago something called Complete Employer Protection. We were the first to market to do that, and we remain market leaders in this space around risk and liability protection for the company. The long and short of it is there is never any risk to the organization. You are always protected from day one through the electric car scheme. As Gaurav briefly mentioned earlier, the employer leases the car on behalf of the employee. You obviously get that lease payment back through salary sacrifice, but we need to protect the company against leavers, people falling sick, going on family leave, etc. So through our complete employer protection, there's never any risk on the company. The third point is absolutely essential for the smooth operation of the scheme throughout your relationship with us. We are really proud to offer a trusted 5-star service to our customers. I'd really encourage everybody to check us out on Trustpilot. We have great case studies on our website as well. And after this webinar, I'd encourage you all to put some time in with our business development team to get a feel for that yourself. So how are we going to make sure that the scheme has really good impact with your team, employees love it, and what do they care about? First thing, best prices. We need to make sure that EV lease prices are attractive. The electric car scheme works with a small panel of the strongest lease providers in the UK that are the most reputable. So we can offer your employees really strong pricing now, but also in the future as well, because we're not tied into one single rate book, not one single lease provider. So we can give your employees a fantastic price proposition. The second point here is around charging costs. And this is a real barrier to entry for a lot of employees, particularly for those drivers that don't have a driveway or off-street parking. The cost of public charging is expensive. It can be higher than a petrol or a diesel car. We launched something called the Charge Scheme, and we're going to go through an example shortly. And this allows employees to salary sacrifice all of the charging cost that goes into their car. So that immediately helps unlock thousands of additional savings for your team. The third point ties quite nicely in with our operating model, working with a panel of lessors. We can access the UK's largest stock. We can access every single new electric car available in the UK, any make, model, and variant. And the third point, we have a large and growing portfolio of used electric vehicles. Used EVs are absolutely essential for any good scheme and to have good uptake. They are 30 to 40% cheaper versus a like-for-like new car, particularly attractive for the basic rate taxpayer earning group as well. So we'll show you some examples very shortly. Next slide, please. And where's that led us today? I'm really pleased to say we are an award-winning organization. We've won multiple awards in this space, a couple of examples here on the screen. We're also accredited by various bodies and regulatory organizations. We, for example, were the first B Corp certified EV salary sacrifice scheme last year. Huge effort from the electric car scheme to achieve that fantastic accreditation. So that has led us to be trusted by thousands of employers. We work with companies and organizations in all sectors, all industries, regulated to private sector to public. A couple of household names you can see on the screen here, such as Just Eat, Holland & Barrett, Dreams. We're really proud to work with these customers and help their employees into electric cars. And we'd love you to join us. Great. We're going to dive in to a couple of examples, and I want to lead this back slightly to the context of this webinar. It has to be easy, it has to be simple. We provide the tools, we provide the education, the awareness for your employees to access this benefit and see the vehicles available and how the benefit actually, or what the benefit means to them in practice. So Gaurav, should we go through a live example of our quoting experience?
Let's do it, Cam. All right, I will share my screen and hopefully the technology works for me. So that should now switch us over.
Brilliant. So let's imagine, Gaurav, your employer has put this scheme in place. You've attended a webinar of ours, you've landed on the quote tool, and you're quite interested in getting into electric car. So the first toggle here looks at new, and you can scroll through every single new electric car available in the UK, as you can see here. Anything taking your fancy, Gaurav?
I am interested in the BYD seal, I think. Where was that? Was that was at the top, wasn't it? There we go.
Absolutely.
Nice.
Go into the BYD seal, and you can then select your model and variant. So you can see there's a couple of specs here. As I mentioned, we will pull the best price based on the variant and specification that your employee wants. So let's proceed to build your plan. Fantastic. First thing we'll ask for is a salary. Obviously, we need to work out the tax savings for your employee based on whether a basic rate taxpayer, high rate taxpayer. We may need to make sure that this does not fit or sit with the HR team. The second thing you'll need to do as an employee is, of course, select your lease length. You can choose between 2 and 4 years, and you can also select your mileage term. Obviously, this is a benefit for the employee. This is their vehicle. They get to select what's important to them. Fantastic. And the last few points and the last few toggles, you can tailor the plan to include a home charger and include insurance, all through salary sacrifice, so that you get the tax savings on those bolt-on products as well. Brilliant. If you scroll through to the last screen, Gaurav, you can add any extras. And let's assume that this is the car you want. So your employee has come onto our quoting experience. They found the car that they want. The next step is to book some time in with us. So again, all about keeping this simple for the employer. You do not have to answer their questions. We take care of your employee's engagement. We take care of the education side of things and all of the quoting exercise. So your employee books a call in with us. They'll have a dedicated EV specialist. They're effectively a consultant, and we'll hold their hand in their ordering process, make sure that they are making the right decision. They understand how everything works. So you in HR and finance, reward, whoever looks after the scheme, does not have to own that task. This is all dealt with by the electric car scheme. Gaurav, you might be interested in our used car proposition.
Let's have a look here. Here we go. Used.
There you go. So as I mentioned briefly earlier, you can see that we have a large inventory of used cars available. So everything from entry-level, mid-range to premium cars like your Porsches and Mercedes. So feel free to jump into one and we can show everyone how simple it is to get a quote on a used car. Let's go for the Volvo, usually quite a premium car, an expensive car on the new scheme. But through used, you can see here we're dropping that price significantly. So there's 4 nice models available. Let's click on that first one. And I can actually see the real pictures of the car that would land on my driveway. So we're pulling this directly from the funder. This vehicle is in stock, ready to be delivered. That is the real car that your employees will have land on their driveway. This means that they have a really great experience, even during the soft quoting stage. They can see the exact car that they'll get. And if you cross off there, you can build your plan in the same way. Again, employee inputs their salary, they choose their length of lease, their mileage, and they add on their extras so that you in HR do not have to worry about quoting and ordering, etc. This is all dealt with by us. Couple of nice features as well. Obviously, these are used cars. Employees will ask questions about real range, specification. We have a couple of features on the quoting tool. If you click onto real range, Gaurav, we will show you what the actual expected real battery range for that car will be based on the age and the mileage of that vehicle. So there is a lot of that hard work already done for your team. And again, same principle, employee books some time with us and they can potentially proceed to order. So Gaurav, I have a quick question. Do you have a driveway or would you have to rely on public charging?
I will mainly be public charging, Cameron.
Fantastic. So if you have the charge scheme calculator up, I'd love to show everybody the extra savings that we can unlock through the powers of salary sacrifice for charging. So we launched the charge scheme last year. We're helping salary sacrifice users and EV fleets drivers save on their charging costs. So anyone that does personal mileage can salary sacrifice all of their energy costs, their charging costs through the scheme. So we built a quick example here. Gaurav, you're going to have a Jaguar I-Pace now, and let's say you do about 15,000 miles a year for your commute to London. If you only rely on public charging, the charge scheme will unlock over £5,000 in additional savings for you as an employee. And that is, again, no cost to you as a business. There's never any risk to the business. It is an immediate, unique bolt-on that you can add to your EV scheme that unlocks thousands in additional savings for your employees. And this really helps incentivize EV adoption and drops that barrier to entry for a lot of users. If you quickly switch, Gaurav, to mostly at home at the top, this will likely be where the majority of your employees sit. Perhaps they do have a home charger, but they do use public charging occasionally. We are still going to unlock between £2,000 and £3,000 in additional savings for that employee group. So not a small amount of money. So the charge scheme is a fantastic, unique product that is helping drive EV adoption and incentivizing EV uptake.
Nice. Thank you, Cam. Let's go back to the presentation.
Brilliant. So hopefully that demonstrates to everybody on the webinar that we have built the technology, we've built the tools. There is nothing you need to do as an employer. Everything is set up and packaged for your employees in a really simple way. So the next point is we're going to discuss what makes a good salary sacrifice scheme. So obviously we're not the only provider. There are other providers in the space, but we want to make sure that our scheme is good, comprehensive, and easy for the employer. So what makes a good salary sacrifice scheme? The first thing is we need to make sure your employees can save money. We need to make that really obvious. We need to make that really clear that this is a lucrative scheme to take part in as an employee. The second point for employers is this needs to be green. ESG, sustainability, tends to be at the top of many organizations' agendas at the moment. Net zero is a really important talking point within the UK and within organizations as an isolated example. So we need to make sure that this is part of your green agenda. And then the third point is this needs to be free and it needs to be easy. It needs to be simple. So we spoke briefly earlier. It is a free implementation or free benefit to put in place. It's either cost neutral or net positive. And it needs to be really easy to put in place. It needs to be really simple to administer ongoing. So we're going to focus for the rest of this webinar on the easy part. We need to make sure that salary sacrifice is light touch. We need to make sure that the scheme is not an admin burden. We need to make sure that as employers, this is a really easy benefit to put in place. We recently conducted a survey in partnership with the CIPD, and we surveyed over 250 HR directors in the UK. And we found something quite surprising. 60% of HR directors believe that salary sacrifice is high admin. And we wanted to demonstrate today in this webinar that it is incredibly light touch and not a time laborsome exercise to put this scheme in place. As I mentioned, we take much of the work away from you. Before we go into ongoing administration, I think it's really important to set the scene as to what the timeline is for actually putting this scheme in place and setting it up. So we've spoken through some of the basics. We've demonstrated how easy it is in practice as an employee to engage with us. What does the step-by-step process look like to put this benefit in place? Step one, I'd love for everybody to set up some time with our business development team. We're not scary. There'll be a QR code at the end. You can scan in and book a call directly into our calendars. So you set up a call, we'll go through the finer details and answer all of your specific questions. Step two, you sign the agreement to onboard the electric car scheme. This contains details of the services we provide and that really important protection service that we briefly touched on. We'll then secure your credit. We'll work with our funders, get everything approved, and you sign the lease agreement or the master hire agreements in advance of launch. Really easy process. We then plan the launch with your customer success manager. So everybody will have a dedicated account manager or customer success manager. Their job is to support you with the launch, ongoing engagement, and they are your point of contact throughout your relationship with the electric car scheme. And then we can go live to your team. We can launch the scheme. A launch we'll touch on in a second, but that's the best bit to engage your employees, of course. So the next slide, Gaurav, looks at how we tailor launches to your business and your organization. So no launch looks the same. And I think this is really important. We will tailor a launch for your company, and that might be a combination of on-site visits, drive days, demo days. We host live webinars for companies that have hybrid workforce, for example. We do lunch and learn sessions, Q&A sessions. We will build a launch plan that is tailored to your company and drives the maximum engagement possible. And it's not just at the launch phase that we will help you. For a lot of our customers, we host and support with quarterly, bi-monthly, half-yearly engagement sessions, however frequent as you wish. We want to make sure that this benefit lands really well at the launch phase, but also ongoing as well. We want to make sure that this benefit is always in the back pocket and front of mind when employees are looking to get into an electric car or choose their next vehicle. Next slide. Great. So all sounds well and good. Obviously, we've launched the scheme, we've set everything up, employees are excited, cars start to get ordered through the electric car scheme. The next underlying question is, okay, what is the ongoing administration that HR, finance, payroll have to take care of? Is that laborsome? Is it an administrative burden? And I'm going to hand over to my lovely colleague, Zabrina, who looks after these questions and helps educate employers as to how this works in practice. So over to you, Zabrina, to talk about ongoing admin.
Thank you. So yes, once the car is delivered, we provide ongoing administrative support. So every month, you will get a notification to say that you've got the documents in your portal. So this will include simple payroll instructions and also any documents needed for HMRC. Next slide, please. Okay, so employees must report any taxable benefits provided to employees to HMRC. Currently, employers have the option to do this either through payroll every month, or they can do it as a one-off submission of P11D forms every tax year, P46 forms. HMRC have announced, though, that it will become mandatory to payroll all your benefits, including benefits such as electric car scheme. So that will start in April 2027. But we currently do provide support for however you report your benefits. So for payrolling, if you payroll your benefits at the moment, every month, like I said, we provide payroll instructions. And in these payroll instructions, we have all the data that is needed to submit to HMRC. So that will include, for each and every car, that will include, for example, the car reg, when the car was first made available to your employee as benefit, the color of your car, all that information is all in one place. And then if you don't pay your benefits, next slide. If you don't pay your benefits, like I said, we still provide information and data. So when a car has been delivered, we will provide the P46 forms. And when the car has been returned, we will also provide the P46 forms, which is downloadable from your employer portal. We pre-fill all their information. So all you have to do is actually just review it, sign it, and send it off to HMRC. And then at the end of the tax year, we provide guidance and the data needed for the P11D and P11DB submissions as well. Come to the next slide. Okay, furthermore, if you've joined the electric car scheme, you'll probably share the same goals as us in regards to moving closer towards net zero emissions and having a positive impact on the environment. So we also provide a report that highlights the positive impacts of your company through the scheme. And this data also supports your business's ESG reporting as well. So it includes info such as carbon dioxide equivalent savings or reductions, total mileages committed. So it's all there for you. Furthermore, we also provide communication and documentation for your employee. So, for example, the schedule of salary sacrifice, so they know exactly what's happening every month, how that's going to impact their salary. Each month as well, we also send an email to your employee, just letting them know this month your gross salary will be reduced by X amount. This is the big tax. And then it includes our contact details as well. So if they have any questions or queries about it, they can come to us rather than you guys. So what Gaurav and I will do, we'll just go through the employer portal so you can see exactly what it looks like and where all your documents will be.
Great, let's do it. Hopefully you can see that.
Great, yes. Okay, so at the beginning of every month, we publish documents. You get an email notification just to say, by the way, all the documents are ready, log on, so you can do what you need to do. So the first one is invoices and payroll, if you click there. So we provide for each month simple, straightforward payroll instructions. And then, as you can see on the bottom, any P46 forms that are needed because someone's just had their car delivered. If the car was returned, you'll see something to download as well at the bottom. And then in the orders page as well, if you click on that, you can see for each single employee all the information and data that's relevant to them. So you would see their P46s, their scheduled salary sacrifice, their employee contract amendment agreement will all be there in one place as well. And then if you just go back and you click on documents, here you'll find all the data you need for your P11D submissions and annual impact reporting as well. Do you want to go through a payroll instruction that we send to you?
Yes, just bear with me 1 second. I need to grab that document. It shouldn't take too long.
Great. So yeah, like I said, we do everything. If there's a schedule amendment that's been made, we'll make sure it's reflected on the schedules. Okay, so you get this sent. It's very straightforward payroll instructions. So this will be for everyone, whether you payroll benefits or not. So as you can see, each line will say for the calendar month. So Joe in, let's go for July. In July, keep scrolling to the right. So you have your car reg. You also have really simple instructions. Yeah, so for July, this person just needs to have £641.47 deducted from their gross salary. £99.81 is the big amount for that month. And then if you do payroll your instructions, you do have every single piece of data that you need, whether you payroll your benefits directly, whether you submit your information directly with HMRC or you use a payroll software. So yeah, thank you. G.
Fantastic. Thanks, Zabrina. Perfect. Let me switch us back. Great. So, I mean, that's everything covered. So I hope that was useful for everyone. I know a lot of questions have popped up. So Cam, Zabrina, get ready. I'm going to be coming with lots of questions. But just to summarize what we've discussed, yeah, we do take care of all the employee engagement. So the reason why we've created the electric car scheme is to accelerate that adoption of electric cars, whether through new cars, used cars, and also the products we've built around that adoption piece as well, like Cam explained, charging, complete employer protection, also things like insurance, a home charge point, all that sort of stuff is covered within our scheme. Everyone who does a quote on our website gets their own EV specialist. So for a lot of people, this is their first electric car. It can seem quite daunting. They might have a lot of questions like, where's my nearest charger? How does the charging work? All these kind of questions that people typically have. We do have a lot of information on our website, but equally, it's good to speak to someone, pick up the phone, and we're happy to offer that kind of one-to-one support through that process as well. And then finally, yeah, we are going to offer payrolling benefits as of now, in order to stay ahead of the changes that are coming from HMRC in terms of payrolling benefits on a monthly basis. So we do truly handle it all. It might seem too good to be true, and it sometimes can seem that way when we're talking to prospective customers and clients. But we have built a product here at the Electric Car Scheme that we believe it is one of the most competitive in the market to implement at your business. So yeah, we will move on to a Q&A. Just before we get started, there are a couple QR codes here. One is to go to our website, read a bit more, absorb a bit more. We've got some great resources on there, downloadable pieces of information, videos, blogs, and then you can book a call in your own time. On the flip side, we do have a link here to, book your own one-to-one meeting with some charming person like Cameron, and you can have a good consultation to understand the specific needs of your business and what you're hoping to achieve by implementing a scheme. So yes, I will look at these comments and then let's get started. So I think a common question actually, Cam, probably for you, for the charge scheme is how do we differentiate between private and business mileage?
Yeah, great question. So bit of a recap, the charge scheme is here to allow employees to salary sacrifice all of the personal mileage cost, charging cost that goes into that car. And it's a really important question. How do we ensure that we're not double reimbursing for business miles? So your employee submits their mileage on a monthly basis, and within there, they declare to us any business miles that have been reimbursed by the company in that time period. So we are not allowing salary sacrifice for any business miles. This is just for personal mileage. So we remove from all of our salary sacrifice calculations any business miles that have been reimbursed by the employer, and that is all contractually held in the relevant agreements that we put in place. So there's nothing to worry about as an employer. We do not allow employees to salary sacrifice for any reimbursed business miles. That is excluded. The charge scheme is just for personal charging costs. We'd definitely encourage anyone really interested about the charge scheme to book some time in using the right-hand side barcode, and we can go through a demo, how that works, how it works for existing fleet, how it works for salary sacrifice, and in principle, what this would mean for the company.
Great, perfect. I think a few of these are for you, Cam, because they're all about the scheme. So, Zabrina, feel free to jump in. I'm sure as I scroll through, there'll be more and more. A lot of people have seen in the news the last week or so that there's this electric car grant piece that's come out from the government. How is that, developing, and how will it implement the cost of a salary sacrifice vehicle?
Yeah, fantastic. So only good news, fortunately, from the government. They're further committing to EV adoption through introducing this new grant. We have seen over £3,000 grants per EV be dedicated now. All of our quotes will very shortly, if not already, incorporate those grants and that discount. And this will only further drive down the cost of EV ownership. So that grant will be reflected in the lease prices and therefore the gross deduction for each car. So if not already, shortly your employees will enjoy better pricing because of this new electric car grant. So again, nothing the employer needs to worry about. This is taken care of by the electric car scheme and our quote tool, and you'll see those grants reflected.
Perfect. Thanks for that. Yeah, quite an interesting time there, as the grants availability for OEMs develops as well. So as soon as we have that information, we will put that in front of our customers and clients. So quite an exciting time. Zabrina, one for you. Can any over mileage charges be salary sacrificed?
Hi. So no, it can't be salary sacrificed. What can be salary sacrificed is what's included in the agreements. So anything outside of the agreement, so one-off costs, PCN fines, things like that, you'll need to pay for that through your net salary.
Great, perfect. Cameron, on the scheme setup timeline that you presented, how long does that take, from inquiry through to getting something launched?
Yeah, great question. How long does it actually take to launch the scheme to your employees? So we can launch scheme in as little as 2 to 3 weeks, maybe even sooner. We work to your processes as a business. Everything is incredibly simple and straightforward on our side. So we could go live within 3 weeks as a rule of thumb, but it could happen sooner than that. Depends how quickly, as an employer, you're willing to help put this in place. But it isn't a laboursome exercise as we went through.
Great. Zabrina, question for you on, you've talked about supporting payroll teams and the various forms. How does the electric car scheme interact with those teams on kind of like a monthly, weekly, daily basis? How do you work together?
Cool, yeah. So with the employer portal, you have the ability to give whoever in your company access to that. So you can give it to the HR team. And then if there are any queries or questions, we do have a customer support team who will go through the payroll instructions or any questions that you have specifically.
Great, and we can basically give access to anyone. Is that what you're saying? Within wherever the business wants to.
Exactly. So the scheme coordinator has the ability just to share with whoever they want access to that employer portal. So when we upload any documents, whoever has access to the employer portal will get an email notification and they can just log on and get all the information they need.
Great. Cameron, a few questions on complete employer protection and then a few instances and kind of examples highlighted. So can you just talk more specifically about complete employer protection, what that includes, how it works?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's really important to cover risk, liability, and protection for the company. Bit of history, just as a recap. Obviously, the company leases the car on behalf of the employee, and then you get that back through salary, or that lease cost back through salary sacrifice. So, but the underlying risk is the fact that the company is on the contract for the car. So the lease sits between the employer and the lease provider. And it begs the question, if my employees leave, if they fall sick, if they are made redundant, whatever the scenario is, what happens to the car and who foots the bill to hand that car back early? So the risk is the early termination fees. So by engaging with the electric car scheme, we protect against all of those early termination liabilities set out in those lease arrangements. So that if an employee does leave in the future, if they do fall sick, if they do go on maternity leave, obviously all of these potential scenarios, you are covered as a business. So that you are not left with a car in your car park, you are not left footing an early termination bill, you are protected as a business from day one. We can obviously go into various scenarios just to put your minds at ease. Again, please do set up a call with us and mention to the team member you're particularly interested in our complete employer protection. We can talk you through in detail how that actually works. But the summary of our protection is that as an employer, you are not exposed, you are protected from day one through our complete employer protection. So I definitely encourage looking into that in more detail with our team.
Perfect. Yeah, that's awesome. Another one of the USPs we spoke about was best pricing as well. So a few questions on pricing. I guess people have seen a price on the website, it's then changed, whenever they've then started going through the process, prices are a bit all over the place. How do we deal with, lease pricing essentially, and how does that work to be, shouting about having the best prices?
Sure. So I guess firstly, it's important to understand the theory behind being able to access the best pricing. So you take one single lease provider, obviously they might have a good price or the best price potentially on one or two cars or a handful of vehicles. But for the majority of cars available in the UK, it would be completely unrealistic to expect one single lease provider to have the best pricing for every single electric car available in the UK. So at the electric car scheme, we work with not just one lease provider. We tend to set up our customers with two or three of the strongest lease providers in the UK, so that 1, 2, and 3 complement each other. You may have funder A, who has great pricing on entry-level and mid-range cars, but not so great pricing for high-end and luxury. We complement funder A with funder B and C, who have great pricing on luxury, high-end cars, and a mixed bag for the entry and mid-range. So your employees, when they go on our quoting tool, the price being pulled is from whoever's most competitive, whoever's got the most competitive rate for that particular car. Now, in the leasing industry, it's obviously important to understand prices do change, just like if you were to go to a dealership personally, prices typically change on a monthly basis. We will update our pricing as regularly as we possibly can. The pricing you're seeing on the live quoting experience is highly accurate. But at the point of quotes request from your employee, we will present back to them a proposal with the best price absolutely possible in that current time frame, based on the funders that the company can access. What it also means is that as an employer, if in the future your panel of funders let's say you're set up with one or two, and let's say the competitiveness of those funders diminishes over time, because you're not tied in to just that funder, we can advise you and we can suggest that you move your funders to a different one on our panel, so that you can always commit to offering your employees really strong pricing, really strong stock and availability. And that's the reason why we don't just tie our customers to one single source. And that's how we're able to commit to really strong pricing, stock and availability.
Great. Awesome answer. Yeah, again, these things can change per company and at specific times, I guess, like the prices change and lease companies change. So again, book the call in with our team to, discuss that and get specific kind of pricing locked in for your organization. Really keen to help you there. There are some very, very detailed questions, which I won't answer now, but I have taken a note of, and I will get our teams to reach back out to people. I think the only other one, which Zabrina, you might be able to answer, is around national minimum wage and how we prevent employees from going below national minimum wage.
Oh, thank you. So as part of the quote tool, we have things in place with the tech. So the employee has to give their annual salary, and if the car and the price of the car takes them below the annual salary, takes them below national minimum wage, we wouldn't be able to proceed. So we have that step in place there. And then secondly, before an employee can order the car, we provide a employee contract amendment agreement, which the employee and the employer have to sign. So the employer has to approve it, so they can also see and make sure that they're happy with the employee reducing their salary to a certain amount. So we've got two checks in place with ourselves and then with yourself as well before the order's even put in place. And then, yeah, that's it really.
Great. Yeah, perfect. I could just see Vicky's asked another question. Essentially, we don't let people fall below national minimum wage. It's built into our quoting tool. So if an employee enters their salary and then they pick a certain car, let's say, it could be any car, and that forces them to fall below, there will be a warning that says, you have fallen below national minimum wage. Now, that isn't something that we've put in place. That is a HMRC requirement for salary sacrifice. So it's something that's mandatory and we enforce it. Where employees are, as Zabrina said, very close to national minimum wage, they sign an employee agreement, but it is the employer's also, responsibility, second check, to make sure they're happy with that employee receiving that car as well. So there are a few safeguards in place, essentially.
I think someone asked what happens if the national minimum wage goes up mid-contract. So we do, if that happens, we do checks as well, and we reach out to the employer just to inform them that the employee is close to falling below national minimum wage, or they might do so because national minimum wage changes every few years. So there, we just advise the employer on what they can do in that instance.
Yeah, we're quite hot on changes in legislation at the electric car scheme, given the nature of our business. So we follow, legislative policy updates around this topic, and we communicate that to customers that are affected, so they understand what's going on. We don't like leaving people in the dark as much as possible. But cool. I think that's it, guys. I think we've covered most of the questions. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining. Thank you, Zabrina. Thank you, Cameron. And yeah, wish you all a fantastic afternoon and hopefully hear from you all soon. Thank you so much. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Bye now.